And welcome to this live show. My name is James. This is the Buzz channel, and what you have just seen there is China's newest dam, and it's operational, or they say it's operational now, the Barhetan Dam, and also the Three Gorges Dam. Now, Super Chats and Super Thanks is online now if you want to, and you can leave messages right now if you want to, and we will be getting to those messages at the end of the show, so please write there. What's happening with the Three Gorges Dam? First of all, let's go to the satellite image, and it looks like this. Today is the 29th of December. This was taken from the Sentinel hub, not too sure which one, and that was at 500 meter zoom, and nothing very spectacular there. Also, the webcam, I have asked the Three Gorges Corporation, it's like asking any government, they're not going to do anything really, saying, when is the webcam going to be back? We all miss it very, very, very much. And I even did a quick update today, and I said, any news? But they still haven't responded. And with that, let's have a quick look at the weather around central China for the next couple of days. Now, if you are new to the channel, a very warm welcome to you, and please consider subscribing if you want to do so. Now, mainly I do focus about dams in China and the Three Gorges on this channel, but we do lots of other things as well. The Three Gorges Dam, the largest in the world, located in Hubei region, may be the cause that have contributed to the climate change and natural disasters in certain regions of China, such as those have occurred more and more frequently in recent years. As early as the 1990s, architects and engineers speculated that the dam of this size could have severe climate impact on the surrounding regions and along the Yangtze River. They spelled that a little bit wrong. Now we have nature's answers to humans' technological developments. It's actually quite a good statement. And when it was built, even before, it was like 60% of the government said yes and about 40 said no. Really unusual in China. Another channel which is really good about China, and they do like 3 or 4 shows a day relating to what's happening, is Spotlight on China. And they did a show related to the Three Gorges Dam and massive dam problem, and how it relates to Notre Dame's prophecies and will the dam collapse. Go and check it out. Just type in your search engine on YouTube, Spotlight on China, and that was done about 5 days ago. I think it's time for a quick break, and I hope you like doggies. Woof woof.
走走走走走走，开车呀，开呀！咦？
Now, that's all I have about the Three Gorges Dam and China dams in total. Please note, there's around about 94,000 dams in China built over a period of 100 years. There are about 24,000 large dams, but produce very little energy to the natural grid in China. Remember, there's 1.4 billion people, they say, in China. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. And coal is still the main power, followed by hydro, followed by nuclear, and the solar and wind is the next. What is the actual crisis happening in China with COVID? Let me just show you a snippet of a report that I made earlier today.
Questions on this. You're like, well, are they trying to like bamboozle us again? Are they trying to like make a big scene so they could spread like their lockdown policies again?
It's maybe coming to the end of the year, but what happens in China just keeps on getting into different situations related to nowadays travel from China to other countries. Look at this headline. Milan reports 50% of passengers on China flights have COVID. Another headline reads like this. US weighs COVID prevention measures for travelers from China. But this is from January the 5th, which is next week. Why not do it now? Yeah. If there's 50% of cases on one flight from Beijing to Milan, and if you want to see the full report, either you can click the link in the description below, or at the very end of this video, I am going to show it for you. But the Chinese New Year, or so first of all, we have the regular New Year coming up in a couple of days' time, and a message, and possibly the best message ever, from a state newspaper, basically saying Shanghai health experts urge local residents avoid mass gatherings and outings during the upcoming New Year holiday and ongoing national upsurge, COVID-19, hashtag infections, etc., etc., which possibly is the best bit of wisdom I've ever seen from a Chinese state newspaper. But there are some idiots, and there are 3 idiots I would like to expose to you, saying that everything is okay, don't worry about it. Now, they are Indian. I'm sure you're not going to understand that language, but basically they're saying everything is fine. Sometimes you just want to... Oh, lordy lord. I have spoken in the last 10 days, possibly about 20 people who have had COVID, and these Indian guys are saying everything is okay. Take a look at these Muppets.
Hi everyone. നമ്മളോട് ഗോൺസോലുള്ളത് നാട്ടിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ മീഡിയയിൽ ഒരുപാട് ന്യൂസ് ഇങ്ങനെ സ്പ്രെഡ് ആകുന്നുണ്ട്, ഒരുപാട് പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ അങ്ങനെ ഇങ്ങനെയാണെന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒന്നും ഇവിടെ ഇല്ല. വലിയ
You really want to slap them around the face, basically, don't you? And saying, come on, are you trying to be a Chinese government shill and saying everything's okay? There's many of them there already. Jason Lightfoot, I think I showed a bit of his video the other day, lives in China for a while, and he's trying to be an American, saying, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Again, it's going to go up and up and up. And I think we need to look at something beautiful in China instead, to calm us all down. So that was all pre-recorded and a warm welcome to the show. I just wanted to do that in a way that was edited and it made sense to you. So there's not much news related to the Three Gorges Dam at the moment. This is the quiet season for them. But come April time, come May time, this is when the floods start, and this is possibly when things are going to happen, when the floodgates or the sluice gates may open. And I hope that the webcam is back there again. Related to the situation, what's happening in China at the moment, I would say it's really strange. If you go back in the last 8 weeks, near enough, there was a fire in an apartment building in Urumqi, and unfortunately people lost their life because their apartment was physically locked and the fire engine couldn't get there because the barriers locked the road down and a lot of cars were parked in the wrong place. And that sparked off the protest. I'm sure you've seen this on Twitter. I've seen it on CBC or CBS or NBC or CNN or BBC or Sky or whatever like that. And then 3 or 4 days after that, they said the lockdown is over. Everyone was actually very happy. But before the actual announcement and before the protest, the numbers of COVID cases, these very mild COVID cases, were going up and up and up. And now they reckon there's about 250 million people. Now, please note again, I repeat, there's a population of 1.4 billion people, maybe in China, which is quite a large percentage. I do believe if you work it out, it's like 18% of the actual number there. That's a big wow. And then they announced a couple of days ago that inbound travelers can come to China with a PCR test, but there's not going to be a quarantine. At the moment, I think it's sort of like a 5-day quarantine and then a 3-day quarantine at home or in a hotel of your choice, but you have to stay in. So that's pretty strict as it is. Then they also announced that outbound travel will be able for the Chinese visitors. Traveling out of China, you can only possibly do it on a visa, a business visa, a student visa. So 50%, which you just saw earlier, of one flight. Let's say it's a Boeing 777, it's got 400 people on board, just an average, for example, and that's going to be 200 people coming into Milan. So I would say a lot of Western countries are going to block flights from China, or not necessarily block, but they want to have a PCR test of the Chinese people, like the swab in the mouth test, before they actually go to the country. And when they arrive in the country, it's going to be another one, and possibly exactly the same what China did to foreign visitors. Would I go to China in the near future? Absolutely not. The reason being it's a high risk for me. Japan actually started this off before America and Italy, for example, saying that the Chinese people, because of the high number of this COVID variant, a Omicron variant, which is basically just like a cough, cold, and a little bit of the flu. But a lot of the older generation haven't been vaccinated, and that's why you see a lot of the crematoriums. And just about 5 minutes ago on this channel, you saw a queue of the hearses going to the crematorium or the cemetery or whatever. There have been reports of people who work in crematoriums who usually would work 10 hours a day, but they're working 22-hour shifts because there's so many people passing away, unfortunately, related to Omicron. Beijing would say there's only 7 or 8 people who died, but the actual Twitter feeds, not from mainstream media, but from real people who managed to get their post out onto Twitter, for example, you can actually see that. You just need to go to Twitter. If you have it, type in the feed, type in China, and you can see, press the video, and you can see lots there, and they're not from mainstream media. What else do I have to say? Nothing much, really. This is pretty short. I didn't know how many people were going to be here. I do have the full version of what I made today right after I finish here. But let's say hello to the 2 people who sent messages. Joseph Stalin, I hope I pronounced your name. A big hello to you. And also the big fella, all lies to bring in global tyranny, way worse than imaginable. Congrats. Yeah. What's going to happen in 2023? What I would like, you could say, to happen is that China does get back to normal. The people of China, because they're exactly the same as you and I. Many countries now have lived near enough with COVID and their lives are relatively back to normal. You look at the Queen's Jubilee in June, where there was hundreds of thousands of people celebrating, and all these different parties that have gone on, like Halloween. In America, how many people are wearing masks nowadays? I would say only a handful, or if they do have COVID, but they have to go out, they may wear masks to protect others, thinking about that. I hope life in China does return back to normal. I hope people in China can go on holiday like we can go on holiday. They can go to Thailand, they can go to Korea, they can go to Japan, but they need to get the numbers down. How do they get the numbers down? Well, you could say, did the lockdown actually help? A lot of people would say yes, a lot of people would say no, but that's another discussion entirely. But you just hope everything sort of all goes down and down, and it continues to go down. The older people, they do get some kind of injection that's going to protect them a little bit. I have the Chinese COVID injection, the Sinovac. I haven't caught it. Maybe I've got a sore throat occasionally or whatever. But in this country, they did the COVID situation very well. They locked down the whole country. No one could leave. No one could go out. They locked down communities. I've been in 3 lockdowns myself, actually. But they didn't just lock down the apartment building. They just locked down the area. So you could actually go outside with a mask. And the police were actually very strict in that way, in a way that if you didn't wear a mask, you would get a fine. But it was the Cambodian New Year, April last year, when it was law to wear a mask, but so many people didn't. They thought there was going to be a big surge, but it actually went the other way. And come May, you didn't have to wear a mask. It's up to you. And it was the first country in the world to have absolute zero COVID, Cambodia. We had it for about 2 months. Fantastic. No one died, no new cases. All the old cases were out of hospital. I think now, maybe per day, I haven't checked for weeks, maybe about 5 or 10, possibly like 80 or 90 cases in the whole country. Now, granted, it is a small country with a population of 16 million. But if you do the mathematics and multiply it by 10 or multiply it by 100, that would be the population of China. That would be 5,000 people who got COVID, which is for a massive country pretty low. So this country did really well. China, I disagree with a lot of things, and I possibly will do a show a little bit later on, a review of China in 2022. I think that's about it for me. And thank you for watching. Don't disappear yet, because I do have the full version of the video that I showed earlier today. If you have seen it already, then I would say cheerio. But if you haven't, please do watch this. But I will bid you a farewell and a very happy New Year.
Questions on this. You're like, well, are they trying to like bamboozle us again? Are they trying to like make a big scene so they could spread like their lockdown policies again?
It may be coming to the end of the year, but what happens in China just keeps on getting into different situations related to nowadays travel from China to other countries. Look at this headline. Milan reports 50% of passengers on China flights have COVID. Another headline reads like this. US weighs COVID prevention measures for travelers from China. But this is from January the 5th, which is next week. Why not do it now? Yeah. If there's 50% of cases on one flight from Beijing to Milan, and the rest of the world has relatively no numbers with COVID, just ban all flights or have a very strict policy related to COVID tests. When people leave China, they do need to have a PCR test and 48 hours, but it's very difficult to leave China at the moment. So I'm not too sure how these people are managing to leave, because the policies related to immigration to different countries, it's still closed until January the 8th, when inbound passengers can come to China, and outbound for tourists is going to be relaxed a little bit later, maybe just after the Chinese New Year, which is January the 22nd. I don't see why these countries like the UK or Italy or America, Australia, Japan, etc. implement that they got to have proof and have a test at the airport when they arrive, let's say in Italy or in Washington or in London, for example. Exactly what foreigners, or overseas guests to China had to do before, then go into quarantine. Because there's like 250 million people at the moment in China with COVID, most of them it's going to be mild cases or asymptomatic. It's going to be like a fever, it's going to be a flu. But for the older generation and the people who haven't been injected or had the vaccine, whatever vaccine it is going to be a problem.
this nation alarming scenes. China's hospitals overwhelmed, COVID infections soaring. The country's abrupt decision to dismantle much of its strict COVID regime apparently yielding worrying results. Wards full of desperately ill people.
And this is the all-doing of their great loved leader Xi Jinping. He is not going to be remembered for transforming China's economy, but he's going to be remembered for his awful measures related to lockdowns, etc. in China, related to the COVID, and also the corruption scandals that he tried to manipulate the government by knocking out people saying that they're corrupt, when he's the corruptest, the most corrupt in China itself. You can see that I'm a little bit angry with the whole situation. We want the people of China to get back to normal lives, but the whole situation is all the government's fault, and they just handled the whole COVID scenario badly again. And do we want COVID cases coming in from China to other countries? The obvious answer is videos like this do get demonetized from YouTube, and I won't get any money from this, or very little, maybe a couple of cents. So if you can, super thanks is fantastic. You can join or become a Patreon. All the links are in the description below. Today the news is doom and gloom. Now, some bus workers in one part of China, I can't remember, haven't been paid for 16 months, and these signs on these buses literally say, "Please pay us." The same for this worker, this construction worker, this builder, who hasn't been paid for a long time, just had enough of the construction company not paying him, or very little money indeed. So he got a little bit mad by smashing some of the windows. Just a little update for you what's happening in China today. Many thanks for your time. As always, please like, subscribe and share, and I will have a bigger report hopefully a little bit later today. Peace to everyone, and I hope you're going to have an excellent new year. I'm looking forward to all the countdown celebrations in Sydney, in Tokyo, here, Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, Paris, London, and of course my favorite one is New York City. Be good, be well, be safe. Bye-bye.